Codependency, a cyclical relationship. Imagine you wake up. You're a 7-year-old child, the oldest of your family. What woke you was the sound of your mom's alarm, not your own. You go to her room and gently try to wake her, and she tells you that she's getting up. You walk into the kitchen and start the coffee maker and pour cereal, and then you go to get your 5-year-old sibling ready for school. This might not sound like your experience as a child, but it is for some. We all have interpersonal relationships, and some of them are bound to be codependent. Codependency is a cyclical, semi-functioning relationship with two or more people or a family unit dependent on one another to the point where it becomes maladaptive, to paraphrase Jason Walls, an academic advisor in the Department of Psychological Sciences here at K-State, with 7 years psychotherapy experience. Codependency is a cyclical, damaging, unhealthy relationship style perpetuated by a lack of knowledge of the behavior. As a psych major pursuing a career in psychotherapy, I felt it important to share with you all what I've learned about codependency as an anxiety-induced, personally inhibiting relationship form. First, I will talk about how codependent families affect children. Then, I will talk about how children carry their codependency into adulthood, and lastly, how the cycle is continued. Now, we'll explore how children are affected by their codependent family unit. Children learn codependency from the anxious attachments that they form with their caregivers. Children have no control of the family that they're born into. Some are bound to be born into codependent families. According to her article, Codependency in Relationships, on the website Central Minds, Bava Barvani names potential problems that can make a family more susceptible to codependency, such as addiction in the parents, mental illness, and perfectionism. Children born into these sort of unstable environments are more likely to form anxious attachments because they don't know how their parents are going to act, according to Jason Walls, who says that he has seen codependency at as early as age 4. A study on the website Science Direct in the Social and Behavioral Sciences Procedia by Marketa Rusnakova says that the codependency cycle starts with the children rescuing their parents, like caring for them, and ends with hatred because the children disdain their parents for putting them in their situation. Next, I'll explain how children carry their codependency into adulthood. Children learn codependency from anxious attachments and continue this into adulthood. According to Bava Bavarni's article, children can lose their sense of self in their codependency, so they're always taking care of their parents, and so that's all they really know how to do. And according to Jason Walls, who I interviewed, the way that this happens is that basically we all run around holding up a mirror and we're asking, tell me who I am. And when you're a codependent person with an anxious attachment style, you're running around with a mirror saying, tell me, I know who I am, tell me that's correct. And so when a codependent person goes to find a mate, they choose someone who treats them the same way as they were treated in their codependent family unit. Lastly, I'll talk about how codependent adults perpetuate the cycle. So when a codependent adult starts their family, they're not going to change their behaviors, and they're going to instill the same sort of codependent behaviors in their children. In Bavarni's article, she says that it's a common issue, codependency, but people don't know they're experiencing those types of relationship styles, so they don't change it. They can, however, go to therapy, as well as codependence.org, which is a national website for the 12-step program for codependent people. All right, so let's review what we've learned. To conclude, codependency is a cyclical, damaging, unhealthy relationship style perpetuated by the lack of knowledge of its existence. First, we talked about how codependent families affect children. Then we talked about how children carry this codependency into adulthood. And lastly, we talked about how the cycle is perpetuated into these new families. In closing, this is a problem that can be solved with the right knowledge.